Hello, NFL fans. Welcome back to Hurdle the Line, part of the AAW network. We are the premier, and I'm calling us that now, the premier fan-generated podcast covering the entire NFL from over the pond here in the United Kingdom. I am your host, Chapman, and this is our Week 3 review show. We're going to talk about all the games from yesterday, from Sunday, and I have with me the awesome Tom, the very cool Ollie, and joining us from the preview team is none other than Sam. How are we, guys? How are we doing?
Good, surviving the rain. I might need a boat later to get to work tomorrow, but other than that, we're doing good over here.
For those of you not on our WhatsApp group chat, Ollie's village, is that what we're calling it? Our village is looks like monsoon season.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
That's not fun. Is there going to be any end in sight to this, Ollie? Do we need to send life preservers? What's up?
It cleared up a bit today in the morning. It was a bit better. Getting to work wasn't, as much of a survival trip as I thought it was going to be. I did pack some life jackets in the back just in case. But the rain has persisted all day as well, and it looks like it's going to continue throughout the night. But hopefully, I think we saw the worst of it yesterday. So hopefully we're all good and all clear.
The Wi-Fi is still working. We've got Ollie. Yep. That's all that matters. Sam, how was your weekend? How's the little one doing? You got a big win yesterday. I'm sure it was very exciting.
Yeah, everyone doing all right. I went to bed very happy last night and woke up even happier thinking that it was a bit of a dream last night. But yeah, very happy that we got the win, which I'm sure we'll come on to.
Yes, we will. And speaking of which, Tom didn't wake up. He didn't fall asleep happy. He woke up and found out he was going to be happy later. Thanks to chat. Neither one of us stayed up to watch our Sunday night game, which we will be getting to. But Tom, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good because I had a good night's sleep. If I'd stayed up all night to watch it, then I feel like I would be flagging a bit now. But I didn't look at any of the scores or anything. Just got it straight onto Zone. Was working and kind of listened to it in the background and ended up getting it on at lunchtime. So yeah, I watched basically the whole game, rewatched it. So yeah, no, feeling good. Another close game as most of the Chiefs games are now. So yeah.
Don't worry, we'll be talking about it later in the episode. But yeah, me too. I woke up this morning, got the old. There was part of me at like 11:30 that was like, you know what? I should just stay up. I should do it. And then after I said, no, I'm not going to do it because we were thinking about watching the game again. I was like, no, I'm going to bed. I'm very, very happy. Very, very happy I went to bed. Not because of the outcome, because I'm not asleep at work today. Boom. Get a plug there, guys. Well, we don't have a lot of news today. We usually share a lot of news. I don't think there was very much. I was looking through, just so you guys know, I'll hit a couple injury things here. Looking at Pro Football Talk, Sam Darnold had an MRI today, and which I didn't know about. But there's no structural damage to his knee, so he should be okay. Justin Tucker is working through some technique issues, guys. Okay, whatever that means. No word on Herbert right now in terms of his foot. I'm not seeing anything here, and I don't know. Did you guys have any other little injury bits?
Yeah, I had one. I had one that it wasn't actually an injury. It's former Miami Dolphins star running back Eugene Mercury Morris has died at the age of 77.
Right.
I know. Obviously, the Dolphins came out with a statement afterwards, saying that he's one of the best players to play for the Dolphins. So yeah, obviously our thoughts and prayers are with his family and everything.
Nice one, Tom. Yeah, that he was part of the back-to-back Dolphin championships, 72 and the 72 perfect team, which has still never been done, which was the entire 12. They went 12-0 and then won the Super Bowl. Good call. What?
There's actually one piece of news, which is that Sam Paul has been diagnosed with a low ankle sprain. So it's not too bad, I suppose.
The Falcons right tackle, their starting right tackle, McGarry, go out yesterday, and their center, Dahlman. It looks like McGarry's going to be week to week, but I think Dahlman may miss some time, which is going to be really rough for Atlanta. But we'll talk more about that later. All right, guys. Well, like as I said, we're the week 3 review show. I have once again, as the host, taken my privilege and selected 4 games as our games of the week. And we're going to start off with what was, I think, the best game of the day yesterday, a barn burner down in Jerryland, which was the Baltimore Ravens versus the Dallas Cowboys. It was a 28-25 victory for the Ravens. They needed it after going 0-2. A lot more questions in Dallas, I think, with things going on there. Did you guys get to watch this game? Just really quick, my takes would be the defense on the Dallas side is in desperate need of some work. They allowed 274 rushing yards and 3 TDs. We got to see Derrick Henry being himself, being Derrick King Henry again. What was your guys' takes on this game, guys?
Well, it was one that the Cowboys came back in. You know, it looked respectable at the end, but the Ravens almost gave this game away. You know, they were in control for the majority of the game, but then, as has been the case in the past, in recent years, they almost gave up. You know, another big total in the fourth quarter. They managed to get the win in the end, but it was more a case of them kind of letting off some of the gas in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, allowing the Cowboys to make it look a bit more respectable. But yeah, Derrick Henry, 171 rushing yards. I think he had something like that, 2 touchdowns. So he clearly had a really good day. But yeah, the Dallas Cowboys defense can't stop a cold, especially running. They're one of the worst run defenses in the NFL right now. So yeah.
Well, they can stop if the Cleveland Browns they manage to stop. So I suppose the Cleveland Browns should probably be on the same boat as a cold at the minute anyway. But I think same kind of takeaway from you, Sam. I mean, it was a Tom. Sorry, it was a dominating performance from the Ravens, but it's hard to kind of forget that they did let the Cowboys back into this game miraculously. And you kind of look at the fact that the Ravens, I'm pretty sure they said it on the broadcast, they say it every time they do it, but they've given up the most. They've lost the most games when leading by 7 going into the fourth quarter in the last 3 years, I think it is, and it's quite a substantial amount of games that they've lost in that position. So to see them nearly do that again does kind of make you think about that, and doesn't answer those questions of if they've overcame that. But in the end of the day, a win is a win. They were able to hold off in the end. Their defense looked pretty good for most of the game, before that kind of end of the game when they were just playing prevent defense and gave up a lot of plays. But it was a dominating performance from the Ravens, rushing attack. Derrick Henry, as much as it pains me to say, finally looks like they figured out how to use him. Instead of just trying to run him out of shotgun, it looks like they've finally, figured out that doesn't work with him, and finally getting him in some pistol sets and more under center. So worrying for AFC North going forward if they've kind of figured that out now. But as you said, you just can't forget that they did let them back in this game, and that is something that does sit with you going forward.
Well, you also have to mention the fact that the Dallas kicker, Brandon Aubrey, hit a 65-yard
best kicker in the game,
which is the second longest field goal in the history. I'm betting this year we might see that record either tied or beat.
He made the 66-yarder against the Browns, but it didn't count because there was a flag blown. But he just kicked it anyway, and he made it by quite a bit. So I'm pretty sure he's able to beat it.
And Lamar Jackson as well, 21-3 against the NFC. Like, he continues his domination against NFC teams. So
21-1.
21-1. Wow. There you go.
Tom is reading off the same script as me. Way to go, buddy. Yes, 21. I was going to say the magnificence of Lamar. They needed this win. They really did. What do you guys think? Does this say more about the Cowboys or more about the Ravens?
I think this is more about the Cowboys than necessarily the Ravens, because I think the Ravens looked, but obviously we beat them in a unlock Henry, but I think for the majority of that. I mean, that's what they've been doing most games when they've just been playing, like, just going into games and being able to pull up scores as they always do. Lamar getting his touchdowns. But the Dallas just look terrible. I don't know what it is. They just don't look like the Dallas that we saw last year. You saw they were like against the Saints last week. They're absolutely dreadful. And they just seem to. I don't know if that's maybe people are expecting them to have this down year, but it seems to be trending that way, that they're just going to continue to struggle this year. Maybe the teams that they're playing, the Saints are the Saints we expected, but definitely the Ravens are expected to be a top team. So
they've given up 72 points in the last 2 home games that they've had, which is pretty insane considering, before that, I think they've gone a whole 16 games unbeaten at home or
16
something.
games.
So yeah, but going back to the playoffs, they obviously lost to Green Bay, then they lose to the Saints in humiliating fashion, then lose to the Ravens as well. So they've really got something to figure out. But I was really impressed by the Ravens offensive line at times, because they've obviously had question marks throughout so far this season, but they seem to kind of get it all together, and Derrick Henry could run behind that line. So that's one thing I was impressed
with. I've been corrected by a producer, super producer Fletch, says that no, it's 21-3. So I will say that the major American news outlet that I'm getting my information from is wrong. He lost to the Saints and the Panthers back in 2018
it is
and the
American,
Giants.
so
We're going to move that right along. Anyway, so again, so we think this is more reflected on the Cowboys. I mean, to be fair, the Ravens were a wounded animal. They needed to win. 6 of the 0-2 teams coming into this Sunday all won this week. So the Ravens are that. So really fun game though. It was on the big screen at the Hippo. It was the Sky game. It was exciting to watch. And enjoyed that one. Moving to a game that should have been, we thought was going to be really exciting, but turned out to be sort of a dud, like at least for 3 quarters up until about the 4th quarter, was the Philadelphia Eagles defeating the New Orleans Saints 15-12. This one was basically a 3-point game up into the 3rd, and then Barkley hit a 65-yard TD early in the 4th. To get the Eagles on the board. It was an awesome run. I'm sure you guys have seen the highlights. The Saints came back down, and within 2 minutes, they carved through a touchdown to Olave. And then when Dallas got the ball back, Dallas Goedert, who had like a great day for him. And by the way, is there any better tight end name? Like if you name your kid Dallas Goedert, you just guarantee he's going to be a tight end in the NFL almost. Anyway, Goddard gets this huge catch, sets up a go-ahead touchdown with Barkley in the game. I believe maybe the Saints threw a pick at the end or something, or there was a fumble or something at the end. But anyway, kind of a boring game. What we thought would be more interesting with the Saints scoring 40-plus points the first 2 weeks. Did you guys get to check this one out?
The true Derek Carr came out at the end throwing that pick. I was like, that's the Derek Carr that I know.
There he is. There he is.
In the AFC West for years. So there he is.
I mean, I just tuned in over how many 4th downs were failed leading into the. I mean, before that,
it was ridiculous.
I mean, it almost felt like. I mean, there was 5 attempted, and it felt like almost every 4th down, and every single one was 4th and 1. I'm pretty sure, and no team was able to figure out how to get a yard in this game. It was a bit of a defensive stalwart, but no, yeah, obviously the Eagles was able to pull it out. 4 was it? And how many were?
4 attempts.
Yeah,
1 was taken.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
it was quite bad. Both defenses playing well, obviously, but in the end, the Eagles, with Saquon Barkley, were able to come through with their star power.
The Eagles' defensive line as well played so well. Jalen Carter
Those
had
2 in the middle,
game. Yeah, and then obviously Reed Blankenship had the pick at the end to kind of seal the game. But yeah, overall, yeah, as Ollie said, a defensive stalwart performance from both teams, and then with Saquon making that massive run in the 4th quarter, that and then the touchdown that put them on top, and then that was it really.
He also became I think he was the first player this season to I can't remember what it's called. Chapman, you might know what it's called, but when you scored a touchdown and then you also convert the two octopus, that's it. You also convert the 2-point conversion. So great outing from Saquon.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I was very vocal about this game in terms of at the end. I was not impressed with how the Saints went about defending in the fourth quarter. I mean, there was the push on Slay Jr., which was just ridiculous. It was a stupid move. And then the big hit
injured
on
from that as well, didn't he?
Smith.
Right?
Yeah, and then so I know Slade did get back up. I don't know if he came back onto the field, but
I think he was on the sideline afterwards. But yeah.
And then obviously the big hit on Smith.
Sam, you were saying that it felt like a game the Saints really, even though you're right, they weren't being impressive, but you felt like that was a game they really could have. It was at home, and they really could have used Kamara. You run the ball, you control time of possession, and then you just kind of get the ball at the end and score. And it just seems like they. Barkley, I don't know what it was about Barkley between the first half and the second half, but after he hit that 65-yarder, I was like, oh, they're going to win this game. Cause I was just like, oh, he's going to, they just going to feed him. But yeah, it was interesting.
I was watching that first bit and watching the first half, and you watch the way that the Saints were setting up on defense, and they were trying to be, they were talking about it, and they were saying the Saints D-line were trying to be mysterious in what they were actually going to do on the line. And in the first half, they were bringing a lot of pressure. In the second half, they were dropping off, and that was where the difference came, because it allowed Saquon to have room on the line to be able to make the runs that he needed to do and get out onto the edge. And I think it was just a weird game, especially for the Saints, because I think Rudy's been a particularly bad kicker this year. From what I know, and with it being in a dome, I would have thought, you're 3 points up. Yeah, you've got three. What was it? They had one fourth down attempt. Just kick it. Like, it wasn't. I don't think it was a particularly long kick either. I think it was maybe about a 40-yard kick. It was just a very bizarre. It was almost like a bit of a dick measuring moment there, where the Saints were like, well, we can go for a fourth down, but we can do it, but you can't. Yeah, it was a very bizarre game. I mean, the same on the other side, the Eagles were just shooting themselves in the foot.
I was going to say, yeah, the Eagles just kept. There was penalties. There was, I think, Hurts. He threw a pick as well early on.
He did.
Like he really didn't have that good of a game, really. Like, they were kind of saved by Saquon. But then, yeah, as you said, Sam, Devontae Smith going out as well was massive for them, because AJ Brown's already out. Then Devontae Smith's out with a concussion. Lane Johnson goes out with a concussion as well. And then Darius Slay's on the sideline. So they were definitely dealing with some of those injuries. But yeah, the continuity didn't seem to be there until the fourth quarter.
Seven penalties for 45 yards. That was what killed them. I mean, I don't read another game where I think I saw was it 3 false starts back to back or something ridiculous. But I think there was something like this that was really similar, that they just, every time they got to like a 3-2, they'd false start or they'd illegal formation and then back over the 5. It was just ridiculous things that happened in that game.
I mean, the Eagles had 7 penalties for 45 yards. They did convert 6 of 14 third downs. Hurts had 311 passing yards on the day, but only about 25 on the ground. And after last week, where the Eagles exploited the run game against the Falcons, you think that's what you're going to have Hurts do. He did look, from what I could, parts of the game I was watching, he did. He as soon as you can make him uncomfortable in a way, he just feels like he starts making mistakes and doesn't.
You got to imagine as well,
quarterback.
Chapman, the Dallas Goddard run as well. Like, that accounted for what? That was 90-odd yards or something anyway, of those 311 yards. So, but yeah, he had a great game though. Dallas got 170 yards.
To be fair, we should say he had 170 yards, 11 for 10. 11 targets, 10 catches for 170 yards. That's a heck of a day for a tight end, for anybody really. So
118 yards, as well, which I think is phenomenal.
That's nice. Really good. Anyway, Saints lost. That's great. Moving right along. Let me propose one for our next game here. A Kyle Shanahan team has a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, and they lose.
Are we talking about
I've
the
been
Super
there.
Bowl or?
I've been there. Have you, Tom? You got to learn. I'm like a stand-up comedian. You got to wait for me to finish before you start saying that. Anyway, that's exactly what happened to Kyle Shanahan's team yesterday, the 49ers, I should say. And this was, I believe, a day where Brock Purdy throws for 292 yards and 3 touchdowns. Juwan Jennings, who's filling in for McCaffrey, Debo, and Kittle all being out, has a huge day, catching 11 for 175. But Sean McVay works his magic, and Sam's Rams win the game. Tell us about it, Sam.
Um, yeah, I saw a stat the other day where it said that the the last 100 games where it was something like 100 games they've been 14 points up. They've only lost 3 times. Obviously, the one against us last time in the NFC Championship, this game, and then obviously the other game. Um,
No, you can say
and
it. Just don't interrupt me when I'm talking. That's my thing. You can mention it. It's fine.
but it was such a weird game because we never we just seemed to keep going and going and going. Just doing like the defense just seemed to get stronger and stronger. So I mean, you looked at Tre'Davious White in that first half, he just looked lost, absolutely lost in that game. I mean, Jennings had him on toast the whole game. Like, it was ridiculous what he was doing to him, and then all of a sudden, it just it all flipped on itself. And I mean, I think Mason even went out injured in the fourth quarter. We never saw him come back, so I don't know what happened to him. Um, maybe that played a part in the fourth quarter, but I think it was just one of those games where all of a sudden we started just gaining a bit of momentum and started, putting points on the board. And I was really good that Tutu didn't get the completion on the throw because it was a great throw. He just couldn't hold it in on the final 1 yard line. But yeah, I just think it was the D line stood up well. I mean, the O line, I couldn't believe how well they played, given the fact that I think we're missing 3 of our starting O line. And Matt Stafford just did what Matt Stafford can do in a game like that, even with the receivers he had. So, and Kyron Williams is proving me wrong, expecting him to be, have Blake Corum outdo him, and he's not. He's doing exactly what he did last year and having an absolute game.
Three
And he's,
touchdowns as well.
yeah, two on the ground and one in the air, I think it was. Yeah, another great game for him. So yeah, I was really happy with how we performed given the number of injuries we had. I think I mentioned it in the group. Was it 12 IR 6 out? So to be in that position, I know that obviously Miners had their own players. I'll take it.
What is going on in the NFC West? Why do all the really fun skill players get hurt all the time? What are you guys drinking? That California water is like, and I've had it. I'm fine, but I don't know what's going on.
I think we're taking a leaf out of the Ravens book because they look to get a running back injury. So I think that's what's happened to McCaffrey. He's been playing in Baltimore. Yeah, I don't know what's happened this year. Everyone seems to be getting injured at the moment. Um,
What about your returner as well, Sam? On his first
that return
first
was
play as well,
ridiculous.
37-yard return that sets you up. Like that was so impressive for a rookie as well in his first touch of the ball. So that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he nearly got waived, and it was the final game against. Who did we play in the final game? Might have been. Was it to the Texans maybe or something like that? Maybe the Cowboys. And he played, and he had a really good game with wide receiver, and that kept him in the roster. And yeah, I think he had that return save. I mean, I think we obviously had that return. We then threw it down to 2-2 and got the touchdown with Kyron. So it was like 4 plays later, we were in the lead. And yeah, and then obviously they threw Did he throw an interception? Was it fumble?
No,
Where's the
no,
fumble on that?
I don't think he threw an interception. I don't think Brock
Fumble.
Purdy threw
No,
one.
he didn't. It was a fumble.
Yeah.
Fumble.
I know there was
Fumble.
something that happened.
Mm.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed every minute of it, and to see
I
it
bet.
just be the Niners, that was all that mattered.
Well, and that also helps you because you're now got your first win of the season, and the Niners are now bottom of the NFC West.
Mm.
It's only 3 games in, but
Both teams 1 and 2 now.
and you,
Yeah, they've dropped
if you're
2 in
going
a
to
row,
get a
haven't they?
win,
The Niners
Seahawks top of the division.
There's
3-0.
got three
3-0.
teams on 1 and 2, and
Yeah,
the Seahawks on 3 and
2 game lead already. Great start for them.
yeah, if you're going to get a win, you might as well get a win against a division rival. Speaking of winning, can you guys tell me, outside of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, who was the third most picked MVP candidate going into the season?
Brock Purdy.
Stroud.
Being
Oh,
Sam.
God.
That's why we brought Sam into this, because he does, yes, and that leads us right into our next game, which was the Houston Texans versus the now 3-0 Minnesota Vikings. The Texans fall mightily 7-34. So let's just quickly talk about this.
You mean
are the Vikings for
34-7?
real? 7-34. Because it was in Minnesota, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It just doesn't
Yeah, it
sound
was.
right, though.
Yeah. Anyway, 7-34. I'm reading the scores from away to home team, Tom. Away to home team. The Texans will still have some growing up to do. It's the first time we really, they dropped some games last year, but it's the first time this year in the first 2 games that Stroud's faced an adversity. I really enjoyed actually the meme, because if we all remember after the Bears game, Stroud going up trying to console Caleb Williams didn't go so well. I think he meant well, to be honest with you. I think he's getting a little too much crap for that, but you kind of want to do that off camera. Anyway, it's funny seeing Sam Darnold go up to Stroud. The very same picture. I think I sent in the group chat today. It said life moves fast. Life comes at you pretty fast.
Well, CJ
if you're gonna
Stroud
watch
was
this game,
seeing ghosts, wasn't he? So
I was really excited because I picked up the Vikings defense in my big money fantasy league, and that paid dividends for me. And I think this defense is great. Sam Darnold did, he's looking decent. This is Kevin O'Connell, man. Like, he obviously a McVay disciple. He might be one of our top, and I think I said this last week, but he might be one of our top 4 best coaches in the league right now. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I think Brian Flores deserves a lot of credit as well for that defense. I mean, their defense has been crazy. I saw a tweet last night that said Brian Flores is quickly becoming the boogeyman in the way that he seems to be swallowing other teams' offenses this year. He's the steam that he's got working with the players over there has played dividends. And like you said, Chapman, with the kind of surprise, good season that we're getting out of Sam Darnold as well. That's a really good recipe for a winning team, and as shown with them starting the season 3-0, which I don't think even the craziest bettors would have predicted that. So obviously a great start for the Vikings. Like you said, Chapman, a bit of a wake up call for the Texans. I thought the Texans would win their division this year, but I had them at only 10 wins. I kind of similar thinking. I did think they would have a few of these games where they do kind of get a bit of a kick in the mouth due to the fact that they are so young. You kind of look at the 2 best players on that team. They're both 22 years old, so there's going to be growing pains. But yeah, great performance from the Vikings, and their kind of great season. Steam rolls on.
Yeah, I was going to say Aaron Jones had a really good performance, for the Vikings as well, and he seems like he's found a new, a new life in Minnesota. Obviously, they're going to Green Bay next week, so that'll be kind of a revenge game for him. But I think he had over 100 yards. He had a touchdown. I know Justin Jefferson had a touchdown. Naylor had a touchdown as well. But yeah, as Ollie alluded to, the Vikings defense is no joke. Obviously, that's been one of their Achilles heels in the last couple of years. But, bringing in Brian Flores, he seems to just have them absolutely humming. I think they got a pick early off CJ Stroud as well, and it set them up in really good field position, which they cashed in on, and then they never really looked back. They were in control for basically the whole game. So yeah, and as you said, Chapman, I think that Kevin O'Connell should be definitely up there in top 5 conversations of coaches in the league right now, because he's doing an absolute blinder with Sam Darnold. So
I think it's
I
important.
think it's worth
Oh,
giving. I was gonna say it's good to give Flores a bit of praise on what he did in spooking that O line. Like, I think it was this game, wasn't it, where there were 3 false starts on one play,
yeah,
and just like back to back to back, it was ridiculous. And I think I'm just having a look now. It was 11 penalties for 88 yards in that game, and only 28.6% third down rate. Like,
yeah.
as well, conversion, which is the lowest that you'll probably ever see the Texans at. And that was purely down to the fact that I think their average was probably 3 and 7 for most of the game.
And to all the Dome haters, that's what a Dome stadium does, with all the fans making loud noise. But I think I just want to quickly, last thing on the Vikings, it is important to say that Jordan Addison is now obviously coming back from his 3-game suspension. So that's another weapon to add into that offense that's already humming.
Yeah. Sam Darnold threw 4 touchdowns yesterday. Not like a huge day in the air, about 180 something yards, but still hit 3 different receivers touchdowns. Jefferson got his, not quite 100 yards, but just an impressive performance, man. Texans, despite their growing pains, they're a really good defense. They're a really sound team. They didn't play. They didn't play well. I think there was a lot of penalties on their side, as you said, and that Stroud throwing those 2 interceptions kind of were crucial. But a very interesting game. I think I'm more impressed with the Vikings, who were, I think most bettors were picking, as you were saying, Ollie, they were picked to finish dead last in this division, which is a very tough division. Obviously, you got the reigning Lions. I don't know why I said Giants. Lions. You obviously have the Packers. They're dealing with some issues with Jordan Love, but when he's healthy, they're formidable. And then, and then the other team that's in there somewhere, I can't remember who they are. Why am I forgetting the other?
Digging that knife into Ollie though, the Giants reference.
Sorry, Ollie. It was not toilets. The Lions, Giants don't even rhyme.
I
I don't know how
feel
I got that
stupid
wrong.
now for saying that they were going to go 7 and 10. So I think me and Ollie both said that on our podcast. But,
I mean, they're 4 wins away from that, and it's week 3. So not a great prediction.
We might not have done too well with that
They
one.
might not even have 7 losses, let alone 7 wins.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, those are our 4 big games of the week. Now we're going to hit sort of what we call our second tier games. However, I think this first one, we might end up talking a little bit longer than normal, only because we have 2 of the fans of the team here. And that would be the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta last night on Sunday Night Football, 22-17. The Falcons coming off their last-minute heroics on Monday Night Football from the previously against the Eagles. The same can be said for the Chiefs defeating the much-hated Bengals on a 25-26 game the week before. This one was pretty entertaining, I would say, even as a fan of one of the teams. I think the second half kind of let us all down, kind of across the board. But Tom, I'm going to give you the first go at this. Then I'm going to let Sam and Ollie say anything, and then I will rebut you. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, yeah, as you said, I think it was an entertaining game. I think the Falcons came firing out the blocks. Obviously Drake London getting that early touchdown, and then the Chiefs go and respond with Rashee Rice going in, and then Bijan Robinson makes it 14-7. And at that point the Falcons were, they came out, as I said, really quick out of the blocks, playing really well. Obviously at the half, the Chiefs get a field goal, so it's 14-13. And then a really good pick from Justin Simmons, who seems to have become Patrick Mahomes' best friend because he keeps throwing the ball to him for his 6th pick, which is the most of anyone in Mahomes' career. So very impressive there. Obviously, I think the Chiefs played a lot better than the Falcons did in the second half, just in terms of they had the ball a lot, time of possession, just ran the ball a lot, and didn't allow the Falcons that many opportunities. Obviously, outscoring they outscored the Falcons 9-3 in the second half. So yeah, obviously the second half wasn't the best. And even as a Chiefs fan, that call at the end, obviously you hate that that's what decides or helps decide it. But at the same time, it was defensive pass interference. And the fact that the refs didn't call it, it is what it is. But then the Falcons did also have another chance to go down, 4th and 3. They still got a chance to go and win the game, and hit that knockout punch of the Chiefs, which teams just don't seem to be able to do. And then Nick Bolton comes through and makes that really good play. But I thought the Falcons showed a really good account of themselves, especially as Chapman said earlier in the episode, with two of their offensive linemen going out as well. So yeah, that's what I would say for it.
Thanks, Tom. Sam, Ollie, did you watch anything on this game? Do you guys got any bits before?
So I'm going to be totally honest, and I did not watch this game because obviously, what time was it? 1:20. I had work, like most people had. I think everyone here had work, and that's why they didn't want to watch this game. And as you said, Chapman be asleep at work. So I didn't catch the game. As you all know, I only got in from work about 20 minutes before we hopped on recording, so had no time to actually watch this game. But I obviously saw some of the highlights on Twitter and was not surprised by the Chiefs once again, getting the benefit of the officiating and continuing their streak of playing with the zebras rather than against the zebras. But no, I'm only kidding, Tom.
Thanks, Ollie. Well, do check out the highlights when you have time. But we love that you come and you get. I mean, this is how much Ollie cares. Right home from work, doesn't eat, doesn't say hi to the girlfriend. just right on to the pod with us. Anyway, Sam, did you get a chance to check any of this out? It's totally fine if you did not.
Yeah, I'm very much in the same boat as Ollie. I literally woke up. I went to bed at a normal time, and then was up very early, and I've just not had a chance to actually watch it. But again, seeing some of the highlights, obviously the image doing the rounds at the moment is that DPI, which didn't get called. It happens in most games. I think it's just it gets called because the Chiefs appear, whether it's in the media sphere, appear to have more. It gets blown up a lot more, as we see with a lot of the big teams in English football. And it's one of those things. But bad calls happen in most games, and things get missed a lot. So it's just one of those things. And like you said, they had a chance to go and get. They had the 4th and 3 to do it again. So it's not it didn't decide the game. Wasn't the last play of the game. They had a chance to do it, and it just didn't happen. And that's what happens when you play the Chiefs. Unfortunately, you just can't get over the line sometimes, and it happens.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, it was a really interesting game to watch because obviously, it meant more to the Falcons. Obviously, trying to establish themselves as somebody who can be a playoff team this year and playing the champions. Having Sunday night football back in Atlanta after several years of not having any big primetime games. I think we played well. I mean, the thing is, the first quarter goes decently well. It's 7-7 game, and then we lose our starting center Drew Dahlman, and then a few minutes later, McGarry goes out, our right tackle, and at that point watching the game, I was like, done. And I would say that they played pretty admirably well, but that defense, the Falcons defense, you got to give a lot of hats off to him and Jerry Lake and what Raheem Morris did, because honestly, the Chiefs, no joke, had the ball for the entire second half. It felt like. I mean, the Falcons went like 2-9 on third down, in that game, and the defense, all the pressure was on them, and to only let Mahomes score 9 points in the second half, I think with having the ball that much time, I think is really credible. Though I would also say, Tom, to you and respectfully, obviously you're coming off back-to-back Super Bowls, so you don't want to hear any criticism from anyone. But I would say, there's concerns there, man. Like there is still some concerns. I was really excited about this Chiefs offense after week 1, but watching them last night, it was not fun. Patrick Mahomes in that second half, really. Kelsey looks really slow, looks really old, and I just think Rashid Rice obviously had his game. He got a buck. He had like 100 yards and
110
some and a
yards.
touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked really good. He was. I think AJ was on him a good bit, but yeah, I still got some questions. The Falcons, and hats off to the Chiefs defense because they basically were like, we're not letting Bijan Robinson beat us today, and they did not. I mean, Bijan got some good yardage, but they did not let him. Anyway, I'll just say this: you can't go. You can't. There's a lot of criticisms on the Falcons not kicking a field goal towards the end, taking points, and then not knowing to get the ball back. And like, dude, you're playing the Chiefs. You got to go for touchdowns. You don't beat the Chiefs with field goals. I don't hate that. I do hate the play call on the 4th and 3rd at the end. The sweep out with Bijan. I mean, Tyler Algier totally misses a block. Dude, you got to be able to get a yard or two like in the middle. But anyway.
Nick Bolton also blew up that play as well, though, to be fair, like running straight through the line and just got him and took him
great
down.
play. Yeah. The offensive line on our side was just Swiss cheese at that point yesterday. So
I agree with you, Chapman. I agree with you. Just quickly on Mahomes, though, he even said after the game, he's not playing his best. The Chiefs' offense isn't playing their best, so still kind of a feeling out process. But to be 3-0 and still not playing your best, you can't discount that. So
no, you can't. Just at some point, it's the NFL, and I know at some point you do have to play your best, and obviously they have risen to that occasion every year. So until they don't, you can't doubt them. But it's always just interesting. I just say this: the Falcons had a chance to win that game last night. They had a chance twice, and they didn't do it. So that's why I'm not as concerned about that Pitts call, though. It was pretty egregious. But what are you going to do? All right, we talked enough about.
I was just going to quickly ask, how are you feeling about, obviously we talked about how the Falcons going to do this year, and you went into this sort of saying, see how you are after those first 3 games, I suppose, from your perspective, looking at the way we predicted the Falcons to be this year. I think most people said probably 10, 11 wins, maybe. I just wondering how you're feeling going into this season after seeing those first 3 games.
Well, I was at that. Thanks for asking, Sam. I was at that Steelers game. I was really concerned in the Steelers game because Kirk Cousins looked like a daggum brick, cement shoes out there. But that I can't overstate that Eagles win. Like what usually happens to the Falcons, happening to the Eagles was like a really meaningful win. I always said 1 and 2 was probably the best case scenario in these first 3 games, though I thought it would be a Steelers win and then you lose in the prime time these 2 games. But coming out 1 and 2, we're about to have 3 division games in a row with the Saints coming in. We need to win that game. That's going to really be the test for me, Sam. So ask me after next week because right now it looks like the Saints still we go Saints, Bucks, and then Panthers all sort of in a row now. Our schedule gets a lot easier. I mean, we'll see. I think the offense is a work in progress, and I think Zach Robinson, who you know very well, obviously from the Rams, as a first-time play caller, we're watching him go through growing pains as he goes. Kurt still looks like he can do the job, but it looks like I really need, Bijan really has to be the focal point of the offense, and I really need Pitts and London. I mean, I think Drake London is probably the most talented, one of the most talented underused wide receivers in the NFL, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Falcons fan. I think the dude is really, really good, and I think he's had shit quarterback play for 2 years, and he's had like okay quarterback for three weeks, and I think that dude could really be special. Anyway, but the biggest thing I'd say, Sam, and I'm sorry to go, I don't get to talk about the Falcons too much with people. The defense is what I'm most impressed with. Like, I mean, you held 3, like the first week, it's Justin Fields or whatever, but man, that defense is looking fun. We're not sacking the quarterback as much as I still like, but man, it's a real sound defense. And again, if we can score 23, 25 points, 24 points, you're going to be in these games. So we'll see. I still think we're probably a 9-8 team. Maybe we get 10 wins. I don't know. But thank you for asking, Sam. You're very kind. I apologize for going off, guys. Usually I'm yelling at people for talking that long. Sam asked me a question, so I had to respond, folks.
You're good. You're good.
Move right along, guys. Yeah. Next up, and let's see, super producer Fletch, are you around, sir? Are you in the building? Uh, oh, maybe. Well, the reason why we're asking Fletch, and if he pops on, is because we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions win in the desert, the against the Arizona Cardinals, 20-13. This was a game I was excited about,
Me too.
and it wasn't that great. Wasn't that great?
Yeah,
Um,
after watching the Cardinals absolutely decimate us last week and get thoroughly embarrassed by them, really. I genuinely felt that this was going to be a game where you probably saw both teams go over 30 points. I was expecting a massive game of just pure entertainment, and it just wasn't that. It was the exact opposite of that, really. It was just, to be honest, it was very much just the Lions being quite conservative, but just holding their own and just keeping the Cardinals from,
At
well,
arm's
keeping
length.
kind of,
Yeah.
just it was just sort of, they were just doing enough to win the game, but to keep them at, keep my arms like them. I mean, that second half was just, anyway, it was just, I think it was only 3 points in the end, so
That's
yeah, it
7,
was
I'm
just,
going to
wasn't
tell
it?
you
It was
guys,
20-13.
like, I'm going to say 1999. This is like what most football games look like. um, Oh, look who's back, guys. For those of you who are listening at home, our super producer Fletch has made a costume change. He's now
Yeah,
sporting a really nice looking
I
hoodie from what I
hope so.
believe is
Yeah.
America, Detroit Lions.
Brand new
Tell
as
us about the
well.
game
Brand
Yeah,
new.
yesterday, Fletch.
and just I don't want to go off like the complimenting my outfit without complimenting your new hat there as well, Chapman. By the way, I think that's a very dashing hat. My only problem is I have I don't have a black Lions hat to match, so I'm just gonna have to buy a new cap now. That's just gonna have to be what's done. Yeah, that game last night was. The Lions had a history last year of starting games fast and trying to come out the blocks quite quick, and then I think it's just a case of kind of like, well, let's just hope that, well, with our bad defense, that we, just we get a bit too far ahead for teams to catch up, maybe. And it's very much a case of this defense. I feel like sometimes this defense plays to make a play rather than to play defense. And I know that kind of the point of a defense, but sometimes you feel like more bothered about, they're trying to put themselves in the position to get an interception rather than stop a play after 4 yards, etc. And things like that, which I felt thinking. But I said last week, one of the problems that we're going to have, I think I said on the preview pod, the worry for me was a rushing quarterback and just how damn good Kyler Murray has looked with his legs last week. The connection then that he had with Marvin Harrison Jones Jr., sorry. The week before looked absolutely fantastic, and that worried me a little bit. I was very happy with the way overall that they dealt with it. Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't cause too many problems. He caused some problems, but not too many. We held Kyler Murray to 45 yards rushing. I think you remember last week he had a perfect passer rating. This week, Goff was a lot closer by halftime, at least anyway.
Kirby Joseph again, Fletch.
I beat the drum last year. It took the mick a lot out of our defense, but one of the few things I said was Kirby Joseph is a damn good player. And one of the names I haven't taken the mick out. Kindle Vildog got it a lot, but Kirby Joseph was one I've always stood behind. And very, very glad to see him, continuing to progress and whatnot. Terry and Arnold, I felt, made a massive leap as well. I was very impressed with Terry and Arnold. And offensively,
Fletch, before you get into offense, can you tell us what do you think the defense did for Detroit to kept Kyler Murray in check? I mean, they were only 1 for 9 on third down yesterday. Like, what did you guys do? And what did Dan Campbell cook up?
I think one thing that worked really
them?
well was Carlton Davis. I think DBs were a really key part in, I guess, especially keeping them in relative third and longs. I don't remember too many third and shorts. So I think keeping to somewhat a relatively tight defense with no wide open receivers. There were a few times he forced the ball to Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison Jr. that didn't quite come off, and he really had to try to force a couple of plays in the back to
including the touchdown,
including
the
the interception. But
interception
there
as
was a
well, right,
couple of
Fletch?
others. One of
That one was
them
one
ended
where
up
he
being
forced
called
it.
as a PI
Yeah.
on Terry and Arnold again. That's something that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But I think overall, we were able the DBs being a lot better in coverage at the moment than we were last year, being much better in the pursuit and the tackling, not really giving up the big plays has allowed the to send maybe one or two more linebackers down. And I guess kind of plug some of those gaps in the line and kind of allow that a bit of a bigger defensive front to stop the escape out on the outsides. I think it's really, really, really helped.
I think your D-line did really well to contain Murray. Like he wasn't able. Like, you watched him against us, and he was just out on the. I think there was one where he ran. I think the length of from sideline to sideline, and still managed to get a good throw away. He wasn't able to do that. I do think that comes with Aiden Hutchinson's athleticism, which is off the charts. And I think being able to have him there on one side, and I think was it maybe
Rodrigo came down a couple of times. I think they used a variety of different packages.
So you got enough there.
I know it's like they kind of switched up.
Yeah. Davenport is out for the season.
Yeah,
I've just read.
That was one concern. I think.
I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I saw that a little bit earlier. His elbow, he could be out. Well, he could be out for the season. But I think just to kind of
I've just seen Harry put Davenport is out for the season.
Alex Anzalone being out, I think, forced Aaron Glenn to get a little bit more creative with some of the fronts they were playing on defense, which I think actually to a certain extent, as great as Alex Anzalone is, I think played to the benefit of Aaron Glenn having to think of some more creative ways to get around it. And look, I've been someone who screamed and shouted for Kyler Murray for some time. You have to force yourself to be creative when it comes down to someone like that to stop him.
I think we can't skip over this game without mentioning the 2-minute drill, or the 2-minute call that wasn't the 2-minute call.
Oh yes.
That would have been a pick six.
Please explain, Sam.
So it was obviously the clock was coming down. It was on the fourth, and I think when the clock was coming down, obviously coming down to fourth, and there's 2-minute warning, and just before they did a real slow mo as well, and they snapped the ball. I think was it about maybe 30-40 seconds before it actually then went to the zero, got through it, and then it was would have been pick six, and it would have been an absolutely fantastic pick six. But they pulled it back for the fact that the 2-minute warning went, and to be honest,
it was like milliseconds, wasn't it? It was like milliseconds.
And the amount of times that the argument you could say is that sometimes the clock that we see is different to the actual clock. It is out slightly, but usually that's why we see it come down to zero. And they still have like 30 seconds to make that play. So if anything, that worked against. It just goes against what the fact that the lines are saying it was the 2-minute warning. But it happens. But yeah, I think that's one. I think it was a tough call, really.
Hang on,
Fletch. What about the ladder play?
I'm sorry.
What did you think of that one?
Fletch has been through the rule book and he's ready to.
I went through it last night. It's not often I get to defend dodgy calls that go our way. So this was the first time I think in my fandom I've been able to do this. I think it's one of those. You are talking again. We're talking milliseconds here. I don't. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. The clocks that everyone's going to get to see. I'm not going to comment to how accurate they were. We don't even know what they put on a graphic clock on the TV. Now I'm not calling Fox or CBS or whoever. I'm not calling them out. So I don't want a letter at my door in a bit saying, telling I'm calling them liars. But the clock that we see, they put a graphic clock on that could have been accurate. That could have not been. the fact is, at the end of the day, I think the only thing that matters is the whistle went before the ball was snapped. If you actually watch it,
Jameer Gibbs, man, that speed, my God.
Nice. Well, please Google the hook and ladder Detroit Lions play if you don't know what we're talking about. And thanks for popping on, as always, Fletch. Appreciate your input on the Detroit Lions. Moving right along, we're going to talk about Ollie's favorite quarterback, not on the Browns, which is Caleb Williams, whose Chicago Bears, lost to the Indianapolis Colts 16-21 in Indianapolis. I did not watch much of this game. I know Anthony Richardson had a stinker of a day, but still won. Whereas Caleb Williams threw for like 360-something yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and lost. Someone tell me about this game, please.
I suppose I'll go first.
It was the Jonathan Taylor game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go,
Yeah.
Ollie.
I was going to say, I mean, Jonathan Taylor game, biggest thing. I mean, the Anthony Richardson was not great in this game. Kind of showed the worrying signs that we've had through the first 3 weeks anyway. But in the end, the Colts had the better coach, the better coaching staff, the better game plan, and the better player on the day. And Jonathan Taylor was able to run all over the Bears. Caleb Williams again, not like looking like he's on the right page with his offense, with his receivers. Yes, he had a lot of yards, 363, I think it was, and 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions as well, of course. So yeah, not a great day for Caleb Williams as he continues to struggle. Not a great day for Anthony Richardson either. But as I said, Colts just had the better coach and the better player on the day.
Hey, Ollie, I'm sorry, buddy. You're cutting in and out a whole lot. But I think we got pretty much everything. So you might want to check that out really quick.
Anthony
Tom,
Richardson as well. Yeah, that pick was so bad as well. Like the one where I don't know what he's looking at, but like he throws it into the end zone. Like Benedict he'd probably be better running it in because you know how strong he is and everything. But he throws that pick like to no Colts receiver whatsoever. But yeah, as Ollie said, Jonathan Taylor game. He had 2 touchdowns. I think it was vintage performance from him. And Caleb Williams again was he threw a nice touchdown to Roma Dunze, I think. But and Cole Kmet as well, he was wide open. But generally just a bit of a slugfest really.
I mean, we started to see flashes of the Caleb Williams that a lot of people are expecting to see, which I quite like. I know he's going to get a lot. He's getting a lot of stick, being the fact that he's the number 1 pick. I mean, Ryan saying this, that throw to the Dunze or the touchdown was the first ever first round pick to a first round pick rookie touchdown.
It was the first one of the year. I know that.
Was it the first? I don't know if it was the first round touchdown in a long time. So I can't remember if there was a stat for it, but I dream them going on about it. But you know, it's I'm the fact that we're starting to see flashes of the Caleb Williams we expect. I like that, and I think you can see him learning every game and learning the game. I like that, and showing the improvements. And I think it's given the fact that he had, like say, it was 33 catches, 33 completions on 52 attempts, 63%. And he only gets a pass rating of 80. Seems a bit low. And that's probably only because of the fact he threw 2 interceptions and they were pretty well, dreadful. But, he's learning the game and he's learning quick. I like the fact that he's learning quick. And I think, we are going to see soon, hopefully, the good game.
I found your stat, by the way. This is the one you're talking about. Williams did make a touch of history. His 1-yard scoring pass to Roman is marking the first time a quarterback and a wide receiver, both selected in the top 10 by the same team, hooked up for a score in the rookie year.
Yeah, I knew there was something about it being first in his history because they banged on about it. I think he came up on red zone about 4 times. That's why I thought it was something significant.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm pretty sure that's all we want to say about that game. Ollie, are you back, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's much better now. But we're done with that game, so I'm sorry you missed it.
Oh, it wasn't a great game anyway.
Oh.
If Caleb had won, then maybe I want to talk more about it. But
join the preview show. You can talk about Caleb Williams more on that, I think. So, but no, we can't. We want you on the show. All right, I'm going to move right along. We're going to hit the state of San Diego. Wow, Los Angeles Chargers lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pennsylvania, 10-20. Steelers are now 3-0. Justin Herbert is hurt, but I just read on Pro Football Talk that they believe the X-rays on his ankle are negative, so it's probably some sort of strain or something like that. Herbert did go out of this game. The Steelers are just quietly winning by putting up 20 points every week behind a competent Justin Fields and an offense amazingly orchestrated by none other than Arthur Smith and using their defense to keep them in games. What do we think about this Pittsburgh Steelers team, guys?
I just don't know how they're just continuing to win because of how good their defense is. Really, obviously, you have to give a lot of credit to Justin Fields. The fact he's going 3-0, and I know Ollie's going to hate to hear this because he hates the Steelers so much, but their defense is absolutely balling out right now. Like no words about it. I think rookie Nick Herbig, he got a sack. Obviously, Cam Hayward got a sack. TJ Watt, it was just sacks for everybody. They just kept getting so much pressure on that Chargers offensive line, and eventually the pressure told, and they took the lead, and then they just didn't really look like giving it back once they got the 10-point lead. So a great throw as well from Justin Fields to, I think it was Calvin Austin, who then ran in for the touchdown. That was really nice. So he's showed some flashes, and it doesn't look like he's going to be relinquishing that job to Russell Wilson. So to be going 3-0. So yeah, fair play to the Steelers for that one. But it was as it was built to be. It was a slobber knocker of a game. Like, it wasn't the highest quality, but they got the job done.
I think what's concerning is the fact that both Najee Harris and Warren both got injured in that game. And I think Warren is having an MRI, and I think Harris came out of the locker room at the end of the game in a sling. So they could be down 2 of their important running backs in that position. So they could be having to go with Cordero Patterson throughout a number of games, as well as obviously Justin Fields. So it may be an interesting few weeks for the Steelers in terms of their offense. But yeah, their defense was just unreal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, to be fair, it was stopping Dobbins, and Dobbins only got 44 yards yesterday in the game. It was massive because he was, again, the game before he actually pulled out. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that Herbert's okay and he's going to be able to continue, because I think there's, I don't like seeing top players go down. We've got enough of them out this year already without having another one go down.
Yeah, agree. And that's Harbaugh's first loss of the year as well. Do we read out this stat from Fletch?
Yes.
Okay, good. Weird thing for me as an Atlanta Falcons fan, seeing Arthur Smith coach Justin Fields when he could have taken him, uh, fourth overall instead of Kyle Pitts a few years ago, and he could have had a quarterback and probably might still have a job. I don't know. I don't know if Justin Fields is a long franchise quarterback forever, but it's just interesting. Just interesting to think about.
But for him to go
Anyway,
3-0 with the Steelers when he never won 3 games in a row with the Bears, I mean, is pretty impressive, to be fair.
yeah. Definitely agree. Next, the Miami Dolphins fly up to Seattle, which is, I think, the longest road trip of any team this year, not leaving the country, and get shellacked 3-24. The Dolphins are in serious trouble without Tua. Their defense absolutely stinks. Seattle is 3-0 and looking like a very competent contender in the NFC West. What did you guys think about this game? And is Mike McDaniel's going to have a job at the end of the season?
I think he will. I still think Mike McDaniels is a top coach. I think he's the problem they're going to have is that they have a QB now who's taken that many concussion hits. It's starting to look dicey as to whether they can continue with him. It may be a case of that they need to look to the future and maybe look at bringing in someone who's, whether they keep Tua or not, that's obviously up to them. But I think they need to have someone who's competent, because the only thing that we got to see from the other two quarterbacks was in Boyle's ass. Was it Skylar Thompson's ass? There's that famous picture because we go in the rounds where it's just like sums up how the Miami Dolphins are playing right now, and it's just a picture of the QB's ass out. I think they need to look at, if they are planning to keep Tua, they need to look at having a 1-2. As long as there's a 1-2 QB that's going to be good enough to step up when Tua's out, or either look to move on from Tua.
Neither team was really that good yet. I mean, I watched most of the game, and obviously the Dolphins weren't great, but the Seahawks weren't great either. They were just better than what the Dolphins were. Obviously, I know Zach Charbonnet, he had a good game in the place of Kenneth Walker, the second, who's still out with that. I think it's oblique injury or something. And I know DK Metcalf had that long touchdown again, which I don't know if that was on a busted coverage. It looked like it might have been, but either way, it was. Yes, that's two weeks in a row. He scored a big touchdown on a busted coverage. So yeah, DK Metcalf is back, but yeah, not like the most entertaining game, as you said, Chapman. I think the Dolphins had to travel over 2,200 miles or something to go to, and then to lose that game and have to go back, as that's tough.
I mean, Gino still threw 2 interceptions. Like, if the Dolphins had a competent QB, this game wouldn't have been finishing 24-3. Like that's the way that it was just that Gino is proving that he's a good mainstay for them. He's a good, for the time being, QB. They need to look serious at someone long term in the next draft very, very soon, because he's starting to show that he's not the guy for, let's see it, especially if you're going with a brand new offensive head coach and then offensive coach and all of that. You need to have someone who's going to learn now. So I think if I was them, I'd be looking at a QB in the next draft.
It was battle of the Mikes as well, wasn't it? Mike McDaniel versus Mike McDonald, and obviously Mike McDonald got the win. He's really impressed so far. 3-0 the Seahawks. I think many of us saw them going like that to start out the season, but then again, the Seahawks do tend to go, 4-2. 5-2, and then kind of lose some of those later games in the division or whatever.
They'll have a strong start, and then
this is a new regime though. New regime, so that might be different this year. He's got that defense humming. I mean, they're the best defense in the league by most metrics at the minute. So you pair that with any form of basically above average offense, it's a recipe for winning.
Do we know if Aaron Murphy was okay? Because he went down with an injury in the second half. Do we know if he managed to get back up?
I think he got back up, but I haven't seen anything, any news about it.
because that'll be a big point for them in terms of their offensive line, because he's been great in the first few games.
Leonard Williams
So,
got injured as well, didn't he? That's a big loss for them if he's out for some time.
Well, I wouldn't go. Let's calm down with saying Seattle is like the best. I mean, the people they've played so far are. It's not like a dadgum rogues gallery of offenses. But McDaniels obviously comes with pedigrees from the Ravens, so we'll see. They have the Lions coming up
He didn't
next week.
come.
So
He didn't come back into the game. Byron Murphy, he didn't return, so hopefully it's not
okay.
something too bad.
yeah, so the Seattle has the Lions next week, so that'll be an interesting test to their defense there. All right, guys, I'm just going to hit the rest of these games real quick. If anybody wants to talk about any of them, let's just pull them out one at a time. But the Denver Broncos finally get a win against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 26-7 in Tampa Bay. The Browns lose to the New York Giants, 15-21, which I'm sure this will be something we'll hit in a second. The Carolina Panthers, led by Andy Dalton, wins 36-22
Red
against the
Rifle.
lowly Las Vegas Raiders. And then we have the Green Bay Packers defeating Tennessee Titans 30-14. And finally, on Thursday night, which we all know, New England Patriots lose to the New York Jets 3-24. Gentlemen, any of these games stick out to you? I know the Panthers game was quite intriguing to me, only because I'm telling you guys, the NFC South is.
I've got one thing for the Jets, just to say that Aaron Rodgers threw his first pass to a first round wide receiver ever, and he's throwing 480 touchdown passes. So that was pretty insane of a stat.
Did you see Drake May call him the GOAT at the end of the game?
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm waiting for the GOAT," and I was like, "Oh, that's going to go down well with the Patriots fans." Unfortunately, one game did stick out for me, and that was the game that I invested, my entire weekend into, as you do with these fandoms of these teams. My Browns obviously lost to the Giants, unexpected loss. They were favoured by, pretty much by everyone and going into this game. Disappointing loss, just not really a good team at the minute. Luckily, as the beautiful thing about the NFL, there's always next week. So they have a chance to bounce back next week against the Raiders. Obviously, as we've mentioned, the Raiders coming off the loss against the Panthers. I hope that's not a springboard for them to come and have a bounce back game. But no, the Browns just, with factoring in the injuries and the complete lack of any form of offensive output, pretty much the ranked last in the league in pretty much every offensive stat. It's just a combination for not a very good team, and that's what they are at the minute.
It was a good game for Amari Cooper, though.
Neighbours is a very, very good football player. He is very good, but it was quite annoying to see the Browns. As soon as they kind of switched up the coverages and put Denzel Ward predominantly on him in the third and fourth quarter, they shut him down and quieted. He was very quiet after that, which just makes you think, why were you not doing that the whole game? So a little bit annoying from the game plan perspective there, but no, he was fantastic.
Did he have 3 touchdowns in the end, right?
I think it's 2, I think.
Was it 2?
Yeah. 8 receptions, 12 targets, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had a monster game.
4 running yards.
Yep. They tried to make him. That was when they tried to run a fake kind of, and he was going to pass it, and then he obviously nothing was open, and he managed to get 4 yards on the scramble. I think that's what it was.
I just wanted to mention I wanted to mention that it was something that I saw about the after the Panthers Raiders game. There's a lot of talk. Obviously, Pierce came out and basically said players were playing for the business, not for their business, not
making
for the
business decisions.
So we'll be making business decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, we obviously was talking about.
Get Devontae Adams to the Jets, basically, is what it sounds.
Yeah, it was the most obvious dig at Devontae Adams I've ever seen. And to be fair, there was no one play where they threw an interception and Devontae Adams basically just started walking off the pitch, which was just ridiculous. It's I think it's the only reason he really went there was because he wanted to be there with Derek Carr. Derek Carr then left, and he's now been left with Minshew and O'Connell. And there is talk that O'Connell may be starting next week, so just keep an eye for that. And very lastly, Cooper Cup is not playing next week. If we didn't expect it already, he's definitely not playing next week.
Good to know. I'm sad for my fantasy team, but has Cooper Cup and the other one that has Puka Nakua.
I beat
I
you
was
in
all
fantasy,
in. I was all
Cameron.
in this year, Sam. I just want to mention. I think the Red Rifle deserves his due credit. 319 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns. Uh, does this? I mean, I think we're probably going to need a slightly larger sample size, but it feels like Bryce Young is never ever going to play in Carolina again, which is
You know,
just
he's the
stunning.
first player
They
this season as well to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And
Yeah,
we're in
because
week 3. Like, that's insane.
I mean,
thing
they were
is though,
saying last week. Go ahead, Alex.
is anyone surprised? I mean, I think as soon as they made this switch, it was just so obvious that he was going to come in and have a good game and they were going to win. It always seems to be the case. We saw reports before the game that they'd kind of backpedaled and said that no, the plan is for Bryce to come back in as the starter later on in the season, which is just borderline making this almost embarrassing from an organisational standpoint. But with a performance like that, if he could keep playing like that, then yeah, definitely not. But I think it was more of a bringing a new quarterback in change that we all see how much that works in the NFL.
all
Max
that talk
Crosby
just
went out
sums up.
injured as well, which
Yeah,
is something for the Raiders as well, because he's such a
Yeah,
big.
banged up
He's the
ankle.
heart and soul of that defense. So, yeah.
all the way that they've dealt with this Bryce Young stuff,
Mm,
it just shows, it basically exemplifies what the Panthers' whole franchise is about. It's just a complete and utter mess. And it has been for the last few years since Miguel. So yeah, since they got rid of McCaffrey, it's just been a complete car
I
crash.
think since
yeah.
Maybe since
Tepper,
the owner David
yeah,
Tepper came in.
since Tepper came in
The
is
worst
So,
owner in the NFL.
probably the
and
best
he's
one.
Yeah,
doing.
hands down.
It's basically the classic playbook of a billionaire coming in and trying to run a football team like they run their business, which it
Yeah,
never works. It just absolutely never works.
Exactly.
Couple little other things. I mean, Bo Nix showed some signs of life. The Broncos being Tampa Bay, it's good for me because Buccaneers now are 2-1 instead of 3-0. I think and like I said, I'm going to pound the table for the NFC South, but they've got a lot of division games all together coming up in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be real
Baker
exciting to see.
Mayfield MVP thing is quashed a
yeah.
little bit for a
Back,
week anyway.
back,
You know.
slightly back to reality for Baker
Yeah,
Mayfield.
yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for the week, guys. Unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about, we can move into our end of week question. All right, I have two questions. One's a silly one, and one's a slightly fun one. We're seeing for a second year in a row, it's the running back renaissance. Scores are down. People are running footballs way more. I love seeing it. I love it when there's a good running game. If you could pick one running back that's not Barry Sanders, sorry, Barry Sanders off this list because that's the one all of you would go for. If it's not Barry Sanders, but any one running back, I'm going to even put a little timetable from the last 20 years, pluck them out of their team and put them on your team today. Tom, I'm sure this is very exciting for you, knowing your running back situation. But who would it be? And I'm going to start. Jamal Charles, great Chiefs running back. Dude was like amazing for 2 straight years, broke all sorts of records, was an absolute stud, was just a ginormous man who just toppled over people. I loved watching him play. I would love to put him on the Falcons right now. Right next to, you'd have Thunder and Lightning with Bijan and even keeping Algier in there. He would be a great one. I just went to buy you guys some time. Anyone have one yet?
LT,
LT, very nice.
LT, 100%. Especially for what this Browns offense would need. You've got Nick Chubb. He's your kind of bell cow back. I want someone that can do everything from the backfield. Run it, catch it. LT, one of the best we've ever seen. One of the most versatile running backs we've ever seen. So yeah, definitely LT for me.
I'm going to go for prime Adrian Peterson. I just think in this Chiefs backfield, he would be
Another
insane.
MVP, the last running back to win
Exactly, yeah,
MVP.
the last
Yeah.
running back to win MVP. So, yeah, I'm definitely going for prime, AP.
I've probably got the shortest span of players to pick from, seeing as I'm almost as long as you guys. So I'm going to go with someone who's a bit more, maybe a bit biased, but prime Todd Gurley. I'd love to see him, to have played in these sorts. I mean, he was an absolute monster.
Without those knee injuries, man, he would have been.
Yeah. He could have easily been like up there as one of the
First ballot Hall of Famer, he could have been, I reckon.
Unfortunately, I always remember him as accidentally scoring a touchdown for the Falcons. That was my last memory of him.
I mean, another one that I might have gone for would have been Marshawn Lynch. I think he was.
Oh, he would be a good one.
I was going to bring up one, and if you can ever go down an NFL Films rabbit hole on YouTube, you should. There was a guy pre-Marshawn Lynch, Sean Alexander. And Sean Alexander would score, used to have the record for the most touchdowns in a season. That dude had
An
a
MVP
monster
in
year
2005?
Yes, and he wasn't really impressive. Like, he just had it's again just a short run. The other one I would say, who actually, he is in the Hall of Fame, but like, it was sort of like everyone just was like, you were that good, but Terrell Davis, former UGA Georgia running back, Terrell Davis, those 2 Super Bowl years, man, I'm telling you, if that guy had been able to play another few years, he'd probably be on the Mount Rushmore of running backs. He was that good, and he was unstoppable in those late Denver teams that won those 2 Super Bowls. Anyway,
funny how none of us picked Emmett Smith. So yeah,
Emmett was great, but
he was running behind one of the best offensive lines of all time. So
we said 20 years, didn't we? Did Emmett just fit into that?
Yeah. No, he wouldn't be in that.
He was before that. Well, if it was anyone, it would obviously be Jim Brown. But I'm glad you made it 20 years. That was a good little way to do it.
Honourable mention to Priest Holmes for the Chiefs, because he would just score touchdowns for fun.
That would have been my other one. But to be fair to Emmitt Smith, dude, he was. This was back when offense went all through the running back. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean. So like, he carried a load, dude. And he was always healthy, and he just, he was like Frank Gore before Frank Gore, and he won Super Bowl. So like,
didn't he win MVP after missing like two games as well or something? He missed the first 2 games.
Yeah, he held up for a contract thing, and then came in and just crushed the league. Yeah, that's a funny story. Those Cowboys teams were wild. They were all on stuff and just,
they were all on certain substances.
Yeah. All right, that was our serious question. Now I have our second question, which is a little more fun. I hope, like you, we all love viral things that happen there, and it seems like every week there's something that's really famous for that week. Most recently Haktua, which I know it's about 2 or 3 months ago, but anyway, right now my favorite viral thing is this little hippo named Moonding. Are you guys familiar with the Thai hippo Moonding?
Unfortunately, it's all I've seen in my Twitter feed.
I'm obsessed with this, only because I have a little bulldog named Peaches, and Moonding is basically Peaches' like spirit animal in a hippo, and I love this thing. If Moonding could be one team's mascot, who would you give Moon? And this is helping that team. You're giving Moonding, who's this wonderful, awesome little animal, to another NFL team. Who would you give it to? You can't give it to your own team.
Just for me, this the way that I'm looking at this is which team would make them even more lovable than they already are, or make them lovable.
Correct, Sam. I'm going to start again, just to buy you a little time. I would give it to Ollie's Cleveland Browns. I feel like every Browns fan just needs a hug, and they, after with the Jets doing well, they're like the other team that we always talk about in that mix. I think most of the Browns fans I know are nice, good people. And I want good things for them. I think Moonding would make them smile no matter how bad Deshaun Watson plays. And he's and I want good things for these Browns fans. They've been through so much. So Moonding, I'm giving Moonding to the Browns. Sam,
I'm
do you have
give
someone?
it to the Panthers.
That's so nice of you, Chapman. So nice of you.
I just think they need a hug again. I just think someone needs to give them a big embrace. Obviously, I know they got this win the last weekend, but things have been rough. So I just think they need that little boost of energy that Moonding's going to bring. So
That's right.
I'm
Go
going to go
ahead.
differently because I think you've kind of gone for the teams that need help. I'm going to do a real potentially change a team's reputation. And I'm going to go with the Eagles because I know the Eagles get a lot of rep for being, the fans being, pardon my French, being dicks. It would make them, the franchise, seem a little bit less horrible because
But why would we want
they're
that?
just not.
yeah.
Just because it's just a way to make them seem a little bit more local
Yeah.
than they are at the moment because they're really not local at all.
Sam, I like your thinking there. That's actually very sweet.
I would give it to the Chicago Bears in the hope that my best friend Caleb Williams will be motivated by, is it Moondang, the name? Sorry, is it Moondang, Chapman?
Ding.
Yeah.
Moonding.
No,
I hope
Deng.
okay, Moondang. I hope will motivate Caleb to perform better, and I think it's just the lift up that he needs after going 1-2 to start his NFL career.
Caleb would be able to paint his nails as well.
They should both paint their nails, and they would look
Oh,
adorable.
wow,
Look
Moonding's
at
a girl,
that.
by the way. Moonding's a girl.
Yeah, so
well,
So it is.
he does have
paint their nails and that.
he has a little dog. I'm sure he knows how to look after animals. I'm sure it'd be a great combination.
There we go. 2024. Everybody can paint whatever. I do not care.
100%.
This is why I work. This is why I work with the best in the business. I did not prep these guys for any of these questions. We throw them at them and they come up right well. Guys, thanks so much for being with us on the Week 3 review team. Coming on Friday is the Week 4 preview team, which Sam hosts, and we're excited to listen to that. Please like, review us, give us 5 stars, give us thumbs up, retweet us, Instagram us, put it on TikTok. I don't give a crap. Just
Send us
help us grow
questions
this
as well.
business.
Send us questions for Chapman to read out.
Yes, please.
As
send us
silly as you
questions.
like. As
We
silly
want to
as you
hear from
like.
you guys.
Just
Let
no
us know what
rude
you
ones.
like.
Silly. The sillier
Yeah,
the
no
better.
rude ones.
Yeah, the sillier the better.
Only
Just
in
no
Tom
rude
Boots.
ones. Okay, yeah, the rude ones just send to mine and Tom's Twitter accounts. But other than that,
Yeah. Thanks again, always, guys, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Super Duper Fletch, for producing the show. Remember, AAW Network. Follow all the links in our descriptions. Please interact with us on Twitter, and we hope you have a great rest of your week. And we will be joining again back on Friday with the Week 4 preview. Make sure to hurdle that moon ding.